More here today. Tina!
Yes, hey, welcome to Drive for Results. My name is Tina Sloss and I'm the district leader for North Central Arizona. I've been with UK for 26 years. Wow. And proud of it. Right now I'd like to have each of the presenters introduce themselves, starting with Rick.
Tina may have been with us for 26 years. I've only been with us for 5 years. And guess who my training DL was? These two young ladies right here. My name is Rick Summers. I'm the district leader for Montana and South Dakota. I've been with the company for 5 years. We also have one other presenter that is not with us today. His name is Sean Fox. Thanks to Sean. Sean was really the leading factor of getting this workshop all put together. And we spent a lot of time, the 5 of us, on the phone the last 2 months, 3 months.
3 months at least, yeah.
So Sean's been in the company for a little over 8 years, and as the district leader of Southern Utah for the last 5.
Sherry Hilton, Central Utah, 9 years. No, okay, one of those ladies.
And I'm Christine Hansen. I have Central Arizona, and I have been with the company for a very proud 24 years. Yay.
Okay, today we've got some housekeeping rules. Please silence your phones. We're going to have questions and answers throughout, so please raise your hand, or, we've had a lot of fun with even blurting out things, so not a problem. Parking lot questions. There are going to be some questions you might have that will be show to, or maybe something real lengthy. Please write it on your notepad or in your notes, and maybe we can cover it a little bit later on, or maybe we might even cover those questions throughout our workshop today. Okay, so on our agenda today, we've got profit and pass-through, the tablet and the QK app, Dine, and the one that everybody's been waiting for, Xformity. Today we'll be sharing some great tools and information to help drive for results. When we think about driving for results, we need tools to get us started. Calibrate where we stand now, set goals, measure the opportunities and successes on a consistent basis, and celebrate or recalibrate. You've been hearing this probably all day long. Drive for results, 20% in 5 years. How do we increase sales 20% in 5 years? Anyone?
Increase traffic.
Discount,
GCA.
data,
Great answers.
Great answers.
speed of service.
Right, let's do some numbers here. Current average volume of a $1.5 million store times 20% is 30,000. Divided by 365 days is 82.19 per day. With a GCA of $10, 8 extra guests per day and or $82 in data per day. Divided by 24 hours is $3.42 per hour, divided by an average of 3 servers at $30.42 per hour. And also, did you know that just turning 2 more tables on the weekend day part will potentially add 14,000 to your top line annually?
Okay, guys, we have a really important question for you now. You're all employed with Denny's, but why did we hire you? I mean, we may have promoted you into GM. You probably started out as a unit level, as Doug and Dennis and everybody did. Why did we hire you? Anybody?
Results.
To make money.
Make money, right. Well, some of the other answers would be to build great teams, Execute with efficiency, which is my absolute favorite. Obsessed with hospitality. Recruit, hire, and train the right person for the job. Have your aces in your places, right? Take care of the people that take care of the people. And of course, the one you all said, make money. So now Dina's going to talk to you about some profit and loss statements and about pass-through.
Who can tell me what is pass-through? Wow, we got a lot of answers. How about you need it?
It's the amount of your
The amount of increase on profit.
Yeah, that's what it's
In the difference, right. Good job. Good, no, good job. Do you know what our pass-through expectation is?
50%.
Good job. Woo, wow. We're done. Yeah, we're on it here.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, these are great measuring tools. In the following slides, we will talk about these and how to use them. I'm sure a lot of you have seen these. They've probably been a poster in your restaurant posted up with this on there. This is not an actual breakdown of Denny's cost, but it is the restaurant industry average. How much do we really make in profit on each dollar that is rung into the register? Let's go through these. We have payroll and taxes at 33 cents. We've got marketing and equipment and insurance at 20 cents. Food and beverage costs at 34 cents. And then utilities at 8 cents.
Okay, so what do we call these kind of costs, guys? Control costs, which means you control these costs, you take more money to the bottom line, right? So let's talk about labor. How do we control labor? Through breaks, right? Proper breaks, through trying to eliminate overtime, proper scheduling, you know, going by your projections and being reactive and proactive if it's not working out for the day. Just in 2018, QK did not take to the bottom line in no breaks, $1 million. $1 million worth of no breaks that didn't make it to our bottom line, okay? We had $1.6 million worth of overtime that did not go to our bottom line. What they're asking you in this convention is, in the next 5 years, increase by 20%. Right there, I've just given you two areas that if you control, without even building sales, although we always want you to build the sales, just those two areas will increase your profit by the 20% over the next 5 years. Do we agree?
Yes.
All right. So what are some other ways you can control cost in your food area? Right. Exactly. Give your people the tools they need to be able to do the job you hired them for and do it the way you want it, so the end result is the same. You give them the proper scoops, they're going to use the proper scoops. Okay, you give them the proper ski bags, they're going to bag the product properly, right? If you don't give it to them, what's going to happen? We got a hand, don't have a scoop, I got a hand, that's what's going to happen, right? So food, it's all about the proper portioning, the proper tools, the proper coaching, the proper validating. You know, are they doing things according to brand standards? Are they doing things according to the menu? Okay, non-ingredient is another one. We have become, with all the third-party vendors and stuff, we have a lot of to-go products, right? And you see your people taking those round bowls and you start cringing, right? Because we know how expensive they are. Those are things that we need to coach on where we can also save money going to the bottom line, okay? Dina?
Does everybody realize that there's still another 20 to 25% in costs that we never even see on our operating statements? Where is the other 20 to 25%? There are two parts to a profit and loss statement. We've got your controllable costs, and then we've got non-controllable costs. Controllable costs is everything that you work with day in and out, such as food, labor, non-ingredient, you know, your repair maintenance, your planning and organizing.
Even your utilities, you don't think you can control that, but you can. There's so many things you can do. Turning off gas, turning off propane, turning off lights, getting sensor lights.
Each and every store has non-controllable costs, such as occupancy costs. You've got to pay us DL wages and office wages, payroll costs, royalties. I could go on for quite a while. These all make up the additional 20 to 25%. That is what we call below the bottom line, something that you do not see that we need to work on over the next 5 years, and we need to get 20% in sales in increases, and we need to bring more money down to the bottom line. When we bring that money down to the bottom line, we're going to be talking about pass-through here in a few minutes. But, you know, we talk about and we think about it every month when we get our operating statements that we've hit this sweet spot, or many of you, okay. My DL's been telling me, man, you need to hit that 32%, every month at least, or 36 or 40%, and that is what we call that sweet spot. Okay, that helps, that shows that you're controlling your controllable costs. But what about those costs that go below the bottom line? That is still something else that we've got to, try to pinch our pennies for and bring more to the bottom line. So let's look at understanding pass-through. I'm going to just read through this fairly quickly. Does everybody have operating statements by now? Okay, so hang on to those. Restaurant period sales last year of 100,000, or 1 million with a CP of 30,000. This year restaurant same period sales 110 with a CP of 35,000. In the above example, the sales increase is 10,000, and that is 50% of 10K is 5,000, which is a 50% pass-through. So understanding pass-through, now if you will, kind of look at this as a formula, okay? So, and this is going to stay up there. We're going to do an exercise here in just a few minutes. But let's read through this real quick. This year's sales minus last year's sales equals 10,000. Divide CP dollars, this year's CP dollars minus last year's CP dollars is 5,000. So divide your CP dollars, and these are the differences, okay, by your sales increase. 5,000 divided by 10,000 is 50%. Note, when you are looking or working with pass-through, both your sales and your profit have to be positive over last year in order to have a pass-through. Okay, so what I want to do now, everybody has their phones with them? Let's pull out our phones. That's okay. I'm telling you,
Open up
turn
your
it back on for a
calculators.
few minutes. I want rows 1 and 3. Look at your operating statement, and we're going to be working with the current period. That's, I think, the first 4 or 5 columns from the left. So rows 1 and 3. Rows 2 and 4, I want you kind of to look at your last 4 or 5 rows, which is your year-to-date. Okay, these are condensed. As you can see where your total sales, your net sales is, and then at the very bottom is your profit. What we're looking for is the difference. So if you're reading through our little formula here, you're taking this year's sales minus last year's sales equals that increase in sales difference.
We'll give you your pass-through.
Okay, so what I want you to do, whoever gets it first, please raise your hand. And then we'll go,
Anybody need help?
anybody need some help? Over to your board.
Okay, so what are you guys doing?
Okay, so take the last year's sales,
He's done? Okay.
you were doing the year-to-date sales.
Put your difference divided by
You know, we're.
That percentage.
So you are 1, 3, so you're doing, okay, so you're getting
You're looking for the variance, right? So previous year.
yeah, that number divided by,
So this one increase for the year. Okay, here it is. Your increase in sales. So this divided into that. Your profit. So far. So if everybody's done and they can help their neighbor, please help your neighbor. Okay? So you're divided by You're okay with it?
We got a winner here. Gary, I expect you to get that number.
Okay, so let's bring it in. Yeah, okay,
there to see what happens.
Okay, so for everybody that had the current period, everybody over here, everyone, please. Okay, so let's just go through this real quick. We've got net sales, period variance is 18,838, right? That's up here, that's your sales. Profit variance is 10,502. You're gonna take that 10,502 divided by your 18,838, and that is gonna be your pass-through for the month. Okay, so then going through for the year-to-date, we're gonna do the same thing. 113,938 is your net sales, and that's the difference. See the delta to the period year. We're looking at the difference between last year and this year. Same with profit. So you're gonna take your 38,420.73 divided by your net sales difference, 113,938. And that is a 33.72. So they're in the right direction. They're not quite year-to-date at 50% for the expectation, but look at that month today. They're definitely in the right direction. Is that making more sense to you now, what we're looking at, the differences? Again, the net sales up here and your profit have to be positive, a positive number over last year to have a pass-through. It's the only way that's gonna work. Okay? Are there any questions?
I'd just like to put in there, so why is pass-through even important? That's how we grow, right? So that's how for every dollar that we bring in above what we calculated we would bring in, right? 25 cents goes towards food, 25 cents goes towards, right? So that's what they get in their 50% base. Okay, so obviously if they see a 30, 35, you're gonna get kudos because we're working that direction. Obviously if you think above 50, you're probably gonna get high fives instead of just kudos. So that's where that comes from, because we want more of that money coming down, because it only costs you 50 cents to take care of that business, right? So the other 50% needs to go to the bottom line and not be through this, oh, well, I can afford to hire labor this week, or I can go ahead and buy all this stuff that I really don't need. That's why it needs to get to the bottom line.
And it's a more future planning. All of these things are a quick reality to future planning. Something that is quick and something that you can use to measure how you're doing as well. Thank you. And we've got Sherry coming up next.
Alrighty.
Scary.
Thank you, ladies. How we doing? We all still awake? Mostly, kinda. Bright side of it is, this is the last class of the day. This portion of the workshop, we will be talking about the tablet and the QK app. We'll be going over walkthroughs and temperatures, the QK intranet, required daily and monthly forms and reports. Walkthroughs and temperatures, everybody, those are familiar to everyone? Why is it important to complete walkthroughs twice a day?
Why?
They change, taps can go out there, equipment can fail.
Safety on what?
Your food safety and keeping it
All the way around. Why is it important to complete temperature checks 3 times a day?
Foodborne illness.
Basically the same thing, just safety. What are the possible consequences if checks are not completed?
Fail. Somebody could get sick, somebody could die.
It could make us sick, employees sick, us, you know, we could end up like Chipotle. I'm sorry.
Jack in the Box, 1993. Brianna Kinner was 9 years old at the time, and she was one of the worst victims of this foodborne illness. She had slipped into a coma and was expected to die. She recovered. Well, they say recovered. Many of the effects from that illness are lifelong. Brain damage, diabetes. She will need a liver transplant at some time in her life. This is the why. And this also is the consequence if you don't, if we don't. This is serious. This is, I mean, there was 4 deaths. This was 73 locations and 700 people in 4 states. She was awarded $15.6 million in a lawsuit.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! Yay! My life's never gonna be the same, but I got $15 million. Does that really even matter that she was awarded for something that changed her life forever and her family's life and the 4 deaths?
Jack in the Box was the first major foodborne illness outbreak in the United States. Because of Jack in the Box, bad things need to happen in order for us to be able to fix and stop items like this from happening. Because of Jack in the Box, we now have ServSafe. Because of Jack in the Box, we have temperature charts. Because of Jack in the Box, we have walkthroughs. We have systems in place so that we don't kill 4 people and hospitalize 171 people and have little Briannas running around and being paid a stupid amount of money that means absolutely nothing. I think this little gal right here would rather be 100% healthy, be able to do the things that she would have been able to do at 9 years old. How many people have kids here? We've all got kids. We've all got grandkids. You know, I can't imagine taking my grandkid out for dinner and 2 days later having them in the hospital and almost dying, or dying. Taking them out for a birthday party and saying, hey, we're going out for burgers, we're going to Jack in the Box, we're going out and have some burgers. And then 2 days later she's in the hospital either dying or holding on to her life. This really chokes me up. We're in the business right now that we can kill more people than hospitals. We have the ability to, just by not washing our hands. You're walking through and you're doing your temperature check and you notice the cook not washing their hands, changing gloves. Or changing gloves without washing their hands. Or maybe sending out a burger that's not cooked all the way. Or a piece of chicken that isn't cooked all the way. Short story, I was a KFC manager back in 1987. Some of you probably weren't even alive then. Back in 1987, I was a Kentucky Fried Chicken manager, and back then we got cases of chicken, and it was chicken of, I think there were 38 heads of chicken in a case, and we cut our own chickens. I could still cut a chicken in my sleep. What do you get from raw chicken? Salmonella. And what's the symptoms of salmonella?
It's horrible.
I don't even want to describe it. I was cutting chickens. I was the fastest chicken cutter in the state of Montana. I was proud of it. But boy, I tell you, when you're cutting chickens as fast as I was cutting chickens, you need to drink sodas. So I'm sitting there cutting chickens. That's before we had gloves. I was cutting chickens as fast as I could. I reached over, and my soda was on the place where I was cutting the chickens. So I grabbed my soda like this, and I took a great big old swig, and I put it down and kept cutting chickens. What do you think happened to me 2 or 3 days later?
Sick, salmonella.
It's because my manager, and I wasn't the general manager at the time, I was just an RM. My general manager sat in his office and watched me cut chickens and didn't teach me how to do that. We just learned how to coach and teach and make our restaurants safe. We don't want to be a Jack in the Box in 1993. But there is another restaurant recently that just went through it. Not just once.
For the last 5 years, Chipotle has had food safety issues. Over the last 5 years, stock has declined 65.95%. And they experienced a devastating 50% drop in sales. Just imagine, one day, one moment, one temperature check too late, one Saturday that we're too busy, just one reason after the other, and 2 days later, this happens to QK and our sales decline 50%. How many of us are going to keep our jobs? With a 50% sales decrease. This is really about us and them, and it is a matter of life and death. So it needs to be taken seriously by everyone in this industry, because it can happen, and when it happens, you don't know it's happened until it's already happened, and you can't take it back. You can't. It's gonna be 2 days later, it's gonna be 24 hours later, and it's gonna be nothing you can do.
How many cooks in your restaurants have that cool little pocket on their chef's coat? Isn't that cool? You can put pens in there, you can put cigarettes in there, you can put a lot of stuff in there. What's supposed to be in that pocket? Thermometers. Okay, so that thermometer though isn't just a showpiece. What do we use that thermometer for? Do we check the temperatures? Do we check the temperature of every chicken breast that is cooked in our restaurant?
Should we?
Should. Yes, absolutely.
The other caveat to that is that, hey, you got that cook that temps every chicken breast, every burger, everything he's the perfect cook. He's checking temps on everything, but he doesn't clean that probe. Then you got cross-contamination. So again, coaching, teaching, and doing your walkthroughs, doing your temperature logs will eliminate these 3 risk factors.
These 3 risk factors: improper holding, improper cooking, and dirty contaminated utensils and equipment. Number 1 is what Chipotle's safety issue is, and number 2 is what Jack in the Box was. What systems do we have in place to stop or minimize the risk of that happening to this company, to our guests? What systems do we have that will minimize the risk?
Walk through the temperatures, chicken temps.
Is everybody familiar with the QK Holdings intranet page? Kind of. So if you're not, I want to let you know that you really need to get close to this page, okay? Because this is going to be our home page. It is replacing the QK website. Everything that you need to access or get a link to will be on this page. And just so you all know that this full presentation, along with the other 2, will be available on the QK intranet for you to refer back to in about a week. Is that what you were told?
And if you notice, we've got Mike Myers sitting in the back. He's videotaping these, so you can actually watch these presentations on the intranet.
We're gonna do a live demo right now on the QK intranet. Or Xformity. Whatever, we can do it, Rick.
Sorry, I didn't get
This is the page. You really want to get to know this page. I'm telling you right now, it is going to help you. This is where everything is going to be. If it's not there, it will be there. We're going to go into the documents. And you see the list on the side. The handbook is on there, harassment poster, HR. It'll give you the subtitle, and then you just click on the subject that you need. QK forms. There's HR, there's safety, there's ops. Pretty much everything you're going to need or will need will be right here. Get familiar. I mean, there's Paycom, there's Benefit Mall, there's Doug's Corner. And if you have a few minutes, just go and explore the whole thing, because you'll get used to it and it'll be easier. And then there you have it, one page, and we've got it. QK app dashboard. Was you spinning that for me, or was you doing that on purpose? I'm like, where are we going?
This is where your walkthrough and analytics are. So you want to click onto your walkthrough analytic. And these are where your average scores are for your walkthroughs.
They are on there, we promise. Wait for it.
And Sherry will get into these just a little bit farther, but if you notice, every single restaurant's on there.
You can see every store. It gives you the last 7 days. This is one area that 100% doesn't mean you're doing good. Because are we really, at any particular time, whether it be a Monday morning or a Sunday morning, is anybody really 100%?
No.
Never. You're not supposed to be in the office, that's why they're little. Or that's what I was told anyway.
This is the walkthrough.
This is the walk, thank you. The walkthrough. We all know that, right? Y'all getting your walkthrough sent to you through email. This is, this is the to-do list, but now I need to go back. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, I want to go back. No, you're fine. Any comments, questions, or concerns about what we've talked about so far? Yes?
Internet, it's the MyQK site.
No.
Is that enough?
No.
It's not there on your tabs for your email. They automatically put it up there.
So when you
go
bring
to
up your
tabs for
email, it should automatically be your homepage.
Yeah, I went over it with Sylvia. You were out. So she should be able to show you. Thank you.
Okay. You good? Okay. Why do I feel like I'm standing in your way? Walkthrough on the QK app. We're going to cover the time-saving talk-to-text feature. Where do submitted walkthroughs go? I'm going to tell you where they go if you don't already know. One goes to the unit. One goes to the QK intranet, the PDF copy, and the other one goes to the QK intranet, QK app dashboard. Now, the PDF copy is the second one that we opened, where it listed all of the units. And then the QK app dashboard was where it told you that.
You're not doing well in. And so we weren't doing just 2 a day, we were doing like 4 a day, just getting ready for our BPR. He scored a 96% on his BPR. That's after me scoring him I believe it was 72, about 2 hours before she walked in the door. So again, don't think you've got a perfect restaurant, because there's no such thing as a perfect restaurant. Like Sherry says, if you run a perfect district or a perfect restaurant, I've got an opening for you. I'll take you in my district any day of the week, but we're going to soon find out that it's probably not. You know, you're walking through. How often when you are walking through, are we opening up the doors to the fryers? How often are we looking at the gaskets around our drawers, our cooler drawers? Those are the things that we as managers miss. Those are the things that inspectors don't miss. So we want to be ahead of the game. And remember, any time that a health inspector or a BPR inspector comes in, Stereotech comes in, they are your partner. You need to get into their back pocket. You need to walk your restaurant with them, because you're going to learn stuff that you see. You're not going to see everything. And having a clean set of eyes always helps you be a better restaurant manager and make sure that you're serving food safe and not making people sick.
Temperature requirements. How many times a day?
3.
Could we do 4? Could we do during a slow period when the cook is cooking a hamburger, just walk up there and just check it, just randomly?
Yes.
We probably should. I mean, they have the thermometer in their shirt pocket. It's not like it's meant to be there like a necklace. We should do spot checks also on top of the 3 times a day, because that is a serious, serious part of our job. Are temperatures and walkthroughs optional? No. Required reports, daily, monthly. In walkthroughs, every shift 2 per day. Temperature logs 3 times a day. Monthly safety reports are due by the 15th of every month. Shift manager review, cascade managers. Pride review, divided into 3 parts and assign 1 part to each manager. Do a VPR on your unit once a month. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Yes.
When you do the pride, you can only do 1 table at a time because it's like timing every piece of it. It's almost unrealistic on the tablet because you have to be able to watch different servers and different tables like they would be in your pride because it's the timing feature in it. Is there any way to do more than 1
Yeah,
table?
you can do it. You can do your tables on a piece of paper and just do the times, and then input it into your tablet.
When I tried to do it, it may have changed since then, but it was like on a timer. And if I tried to like bypass it, it was like showing it as like a different time than what it was if I was sitting at the table. And then the score adjusted at the end to reflect that.
Well, one of the things, and again, everything that we've come out electronically is not going to match Denny's 100%. So if you're only getting that 1 table, do that 1 table. At least you're getting that 1 table. Look at your others and write them down on a piece of paper. Do this, the same time standards as though you're doing it on the app, but do that 1 table so you can get through that pride inspection. It's not just, that's just one small part of the pride inspection. You know, I'm more concerned with us following recipes and adherence. I'm more concerned with us being safe. I'm more concerned with our restaurants being clean. I'm more concerned that guest that's walking in the door is being greeted within 30 seconds. You know, 1 table is probably enough. I would like to see 5. You're not always going to get 5. So, does that answer your question?
Yes.
Yes.
So are they going to be eliminating the whole book process on paper so that there's not the option of having both of them there? Because I know, just for instance, you know, Sunday morning, we got the tablet up there for the wait list, we get a little bit busy, we tend to go to that book and go ahead and do our walkthrough and our checks on that so that we have it. Yeah, we can transfer it over, but sometimes that's later in the day or whatever. And so, for instance, we had a health department inspection come in and I actually had temperatures in the tablet and on paper, and he wasn't acceptable to the tablet. He kind of just looked at it like, what? I know it's
And we are in the process, you probably will not, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're not gonna receive temperature books this month.
No, they should not.
We've stopped that. It's all on the tablet, or there are some, I know Sherry's district, my district, we are testing a new thermometer, which is called the safety thermometer. Yeah, and it follows the temperature logbook right down. You take the temperature, and you can't pencil with the temperature. You plug it into your laptop, it downloads, it goes up into your Google Drive, and you're perfect. So, and I can see it, Sherry can see it. We don't even have to be 500 miles from the restaurant. We can see if you're doing your temps every day. And that's where the company is heading to. I think Sherry, your district likes that thermometer.
Yes.
My guys just love it because it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. You can't cheat. I know we all like to cheat sometimes, but there's got to be a point where we have to. There are some things that we can pencil with the temp logs on.
And you're up. How excited are you? That's okay. I'm gonna walk away.
Sherry, I apologize publicly that I took over your presentation. All right, the question I've got for you. Now, we did, when we got assigned this task of presenting this workshop to you folks, we sent out an email to every single restaurant, and we asked what was the top 3 things you guys really want to talk about. And Xformity was 80% of you saying you want to learn more about Xformity. We can't talk about Xformity without talking about Dyn, because Dyn is our system. Currently, you're being passed out back office report guides for the Dyn system. A lot of the stuff that we're going to be talking about today will be in these books that you can look at. In addition to these tools that we're giving you, you can get into your Dyn. Help me. Denny's distribution, and you can get a facilitator's guide. I would recommend any training GM have a facilitator's guidebook, and it comes with everything that you need. Because again, you're teaching new people how to run the Dyn system. Anything you need to know is in this book as far as Dyn. I should be able to hand this book out to you and walk out that back door and come back in 15 minutes and you can do the workshop.
Is there a number on there?
If you go under operations, it'll be under operations. If you don't want the big folder like that, I recommend, and this is the book that every single restaurant that got switched over to Dyn back in 2017 got one of these books. It is called The General Manager's Tools for Success. Not only does it have your back office report guide that we just handed out, it's got cheat sheets in here for not only the back of the house that you can put back on your back office computer. It also has a cheat sheet that you can put up at your POS station up front that your cashiers have. So any questions as far as ringing out customers, how to pay out tips, you name it, there's cheat sheets on it. This is the book that I recommend. If you do not have this in your restaurant, I would go back and order one. This is $18.91. All right, so what does Dyn stand for? Can anybody tell me what DINE stands for?
Denny's Integrated Network Enterprise.
Anybody else? Denny's Intelligent Network Enterprise. We were close. We'll still give you a high five. Okay, today we're going to be talking about the differences between Dyn and Xformity. And we'll just go ahead and dive into that right now. What do you think the difference between Dyn and Xformity is?
One is where you key in the information and the other reports the
Okay? Almost there.
Exformity
what?
pulls from dying.
Exformity pulls for dying. So the simple way of thinking about this is that you're correct. We're typing everything into Dyn. Dyn's making sure that everybody's getting paid. We run our payroll reports, we get our speed of service reports, we get our DSRs, we get discounts. Dyn is present and past. You can go into your Dyn, your back office computer and pull out a DSR for the day that you're in, and you know exactly where you're at any given point in time. You can also pull any report that you see, almost any report that you see. I'm going to bet you can back that up even more. You're going to see about 400 reports in Dyn that you can see in Exformity. Now, Exformity, on the other hand, is past tense. So everything that happened yesterday is in Dyn. Everything that happened from yesterday and beyond happened in Dyn. But you can also see trends in Exformity, I'm sorry. You can see trends in Exformity that you can't see in Dyn. You can pull up reports that will show you what your busiest week of the last 13 weeks were. You can schedule your employees in it off your Exformity. A lot of different reports in Exformity. We're going to talk about minimum wage exception report. Now, Chris was up here and she was throwing around some big freaking numbers. $1 million for missed breaks. $1.6 million for overtime. This number doesn't look nearly as bad as those numbers, but it's still $141,000 that didn't get to the bottom line because servers weren't claiming enough tips. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. We want that number eliminated this year. We can't see that number. That's leaving money on the table and walking away. That's like me going down to the casino downstairs and throwing in a $20 bill. I'm just throwing that money away.
Don't judge.
Does anybody use the messaging system on Dyn to talk to your employees? We're gonna dive a little bit into that, and for those of you that don't use it, you'll learn something today, and you can wish an employee happy birthday. You can tell the server, hey, by the way, you are short on your tips and you need to adjust your tips. You learned about, in the last couple, in one of the workshops, you learned about running contests. How do you track contests with your servers? Do your servers, at any given point in time in their shift, know where they're standing at compared to everybody else?
Yes.
The server scorecard and our scoreboard. We're gonna dive down that a little bit farther also. And of course, we're gonna talk about the help desk. We're gonna talk about the help desk. Back in 2017, when we pulled all the DLs together here in Vegas, we had a Dyn. I like to call it a Dyn intervention. We were all learning how to run Dyn. Now, for me, it was kind of a refresher course because I grew up on Dyn. My 5 restaurants, 4 of them were Dyn. That's all I knew was Dyn. I didn't know anything else. In fact, the black sheep of the company the black sheep of my district had micros. I never talked to her. She called me up. She'd say, "My micros are down." I said, "I don't care. Call shot." I didn't know micros. So we got together, and Robert Abrams is one of the big cheeses at the help desk. And it was actually Mike Myers and Robert were standing there, and I walk up to say hi to Mike, and he introduced me to Robert Abrams, and he says, "Oh, you're the infamous Rick Summers." I said, "And you are the infamous helpless desk." Because how many times would you call the help desk and you'd be on hold for an hour? I can guarantee you right now that doesn't happen. Mr. Cook spent a lot of time with that part of the dining system to make it easier for you as managers to get the help that you need in order to do the job that you're hired to do. Let's talk about reporting tips. What are some of the best practices for tip reporting? Every day run off the back office computer, run a minimum wage exception report. Every day during the end of the day process. You need to be looking at it, you need to be analyzing it, you need to be coaching, teaching, sometimes even disciplining your servers if they consistently are on this tip.
We don't, or on tip period, we don't pay them their tips until we check this.
Okay.
So that would be included, right?
Okay, but we as managers can't tell them
Oh, no.
how much to. Yeah. Now I need to back this up a little bit because there are some restaurants in here that do not have a server tip credit. You're not a server tip credit, so you don't have to worry about this. Everybody else does because again we left $141,000 off that bottom line that we could have used as a hey, we could remodel the restaurant, right? Hey, we could have had AC/DC play here instead of whatever our show is tonight. Check that report for all servers that are in the tip shortfall. And then send a message through the dining system. If you don't see that server, maybe until the next day, maybe it's your day off, send her a message so that she sees that message to remind her that there is a tip fall.
Where does the message go?
To the dining system when they clock in.
Yeah.
Oh, so like it's like a screen like a welcome message?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And they can't do anything until they read the message. Okay, so for those of you that have the server tip credit, this is what your exception report looks like. In this example, minimum wage, state minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. If you notice, this server is at a minimum wage of $6.21. Is that legal to pay that server $6.21?
No.
Hence, we have to pay that server $1.04 more an hour. And especially if it's a Utah server, we're at $2.13 an hour. We're now actually paying her $3.17
An hour.
instead of that $2.13. So what does that do to your labor percent? Man, we're doing awesome. We're right on target with our labor, but all of a sudden we're paying $1 more an hour to 1, 2, 3, 10 servers, right? If you notice, there's $19 or 19.48% of her tips were in credit card offer sales. However, only 10.57% tips. So what happened here? Probably didn't claim enough. What happens if this server is your best server and she comes up or he comes up and says, I am claiming 100% of my tips 100% of the time. Don't call me anything other than the most honest server you've got.
Maybe honest, but you're not a good server.
Maybe he or she's not a good server. What if this is your great good server, your overnight server, and they're not getting the tips, the cash tips like your day shift servers? What would you do?
Some people pay a premium wage for really good servers.
If your deal allows you to do that, go right on ahead. Another thing would be is maybe giving her or him a swing shift, or maybe work them into a day shift, 1 day a week. There's always ways around it, and my dad always used to say there's always more than one way to skin a cat. Well, that's probably not the way correctly to say it, but there's different ways that we can take a look at this, but the only way that you're going to find out is by looking at your minimum wage assessment report. In your report, in the books that we gave you, it gives you kind of a formula to help your servers figure out how, why, what the difference is, and the important part of claiming tips. But remember, Credit card tips are always claimed. We're only concerned with cash tips. Any credit card tip that comes in is automatically claimed for all the service. Make sure that you're looking at this daily so that you can correct the tip shortfall during the payroll week. You don't want to be correcting a tip shortfall from Tuesday on Thursday morning. We're in a different week, we're in a different payroll period possibly. It's done, it's over with. You're right in the middle of that $141,000. In the government, the IRS says claim 100% of your tips. I've heard a lot of different managers in the 30 years that I've been managing say, well, I just tell my servers they have to claim 8% or 10%. That's not true. 100% of their tips.
Okay, think about it this way too, guys. I had an employee years ago who, at the end of the day, she didn't file all her tips, right? So if she made 100, she was putting in 30. So then what happens one day, she walks in and, oh, I hurt myself, da-da-da-da-da. So she files a workman's comp claim. What do you think they paid her on? Based on what she claimed. She tried to fight them on it. Hey, we're just going by what you said. So, you know, that's where it's at. So they're not doing themselves any favors when they want to buy a home, when they want to buy a car, when they want to do any of that.
That is true.
And what I found out, Debbie, where I was working at years ago, it wasn't our restaurant that got singled out by the IRS, but they know that everybody in the area works exactly the same way, so they hit every restaurant and audited all of the restaurants in that area.
There's things that will red flag the IRS, and you know, obviously, if we just do the right thing, we don't have to worry about it. So,
All right.
I'm sorry. On the, like you said, you can edit those tips dailies, or you can actually go in and edit them, or just have them take care of them.
Okay, so as a manager, you do not edit anyone's tips.
Okay, so they have to take care of it the next day.
They can go into Paycom now and correct their own tips.
Okay. I was wondering how to do that. That's what it's.
It's similar to if you're changing time for an employee because they forgot to clock in. You've got to get a signature from that employee saying it's okay to do that. You do not want to. You're looking at somebody's livelihood. Tax season's around, and there's a server that says, "Man, I know I only claimed $500 tips last year, but my W-2 says I claimed $1,500." That's when you get in trouble.
The message center used to have a function where they could go in and edit their tips in the message center themselves. Is that still available?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
Yes,
so
it
it's on their side, but we don't see it.
It's on their site.
Okay.
You don't want it. You
So I understand that, but I just want to understand where it was, because I didn't know that they could do that. I know that I have to change it the next day or whatever.
Correct. They can change it in Paycom now. Marty, am I correct on that?
Yes, they can change it in Paycom and they can change it in Dine, or they can claim more the next day.
That's what
right, yeah, that's what we do.
All of those things work.
The key would be they can do it. Yeah.
Okay, so for the message center, the place that you're going to find the message center is going to be in your back office computer under utilities. Go under utilities, find your message center. You'll need to sign back into the message center with your back office Dine login. Choose the employee that you want to talk to. Print the message out, and again, when they clock in or they clock out, that message is going to be there. They can
I think it has its own icon on that bar in the back office.
What's that?
NR has its own icon in that bar in the back office, where you have the options.
Yes.
It's not in the utilities.
It has its own kind of.
Oh,
Yeah.
does it? Okay.
Yeah.
It's been so long since I've looked at a back office computer.
Right.
I use it for me. All right. Anybody see this? Anybody know what this is? This is the server dashboard. Unlike your manager dashboard, that you can see sales, labor, missed breaks, miners on clock, approaching overtime. This is the tool for servers to use during 100 days of summer, during your own contest, your own GCA contest. They can see on the left-hand side the add-ons, where they're at for the day. Same thing with the middle, where it breaks down the appetizers, the beverages, and the desserts. Each one of those areas has a goal. We'll talk about that in just a few seconds. Over on the right-hand side, you will see add-ons week to date. So if you're running a week-long contest and Susie Q is going up against Little Johnny and Little Johnny is just selling the daylights out of add-ons, Susie Q can say, man, I tell you, I can outsell him because I don't want to roll silverware for a whole week. Right?
Right.
Make it a competition. I'm an ex-baseball player. I don't like coming in second. I hate losing. Brad Pitt in Moneyball says, I hate losing more than I like winning. That's the way that we should all feel. And make sure that you show this to your servers and your servers are using this. But those goals, where do those goals come from? What happens if you don't set them? Who sets them for you? Denny sets those goals for you. You can set them. What's that? You have to follow through with them. So if you're setting these goals, how would you set goals? In the back office computer. Go back to utilities. Go to your incident rate target editor and make the changes. Hit save and exit. Now, are you going to set the goals the same on Monday and Tuesday as you are Friday and Saturday?
No.
Why not?
Every day's different.
Every day is different. You've got more guests coming into your restaurant, so your GCA should be higher on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, right? You want to set those goals. But if you're running 114% data incident rate, are you going to set that goal at 140%?
No.
Why? They're going to feel defeated.
Yeah.
And they're going to say, I can't reach this goal, so I'm not ever going to do it, right? If you're running 114%, you want to get to that 140, it might take you 2 months to get there, but set that goal at 120. Celebrate that 120 and then raise it again. Hey, great job, guys. You got 120% or 121%. Hey, this week's goal is 125. How do you eat a sandwich? One bite at a time. Well, I've seen some people eat it all at once. I think Mr. Sharp did once on me.
I survived.
And you survived. Any questions on anything that we've covered so far? End of day, end of week process with Dine. A lot of times what we see is that you want to get on the floor, you're Saturday morning and you just want to whip through your end of day process and you forget you're adding food in there, you're adding invoices in there, and you forget you hit done instead of save. During the end of day process, slow down. End of day process doesn't take as long as it does anymore. It's a very quick process, but slow down. Make sure that we're hitting the right buttons. Every day at the end of the day, you want to hit the invoices that you received from the day before. Whether or not it's McLean's, your plumber that came in, or your non-ingredient, make sure that gets in every single day. And here in a few minutes, we're going to see why that's important to do. At end of week, what two numbers do we need to put in at end of week? Utilities and manager salaries. Where are you getting that utility number from?
Operating statement.
Operating statement? DL?
Export me? Export. Can you get your?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
Don't we get
On the
a
like what you paid.
Off your profit and loss statement from that same period last year. If you've got $4,000 in utilities from the same period last year, you might want to go $1,000 a week, right? Just make sure you're getting those numbers in as accurate as possible. Hit save. I can't say that enough. Get saved. There are some reports that we do need you to run that's required. DSR every single day. Why is that important? It's got everything, and you know that's a great piece of paper that with all your end of day process, you just wrap it up and put a paper rubber band in it. You throw it in your end of week file. You want to do a discount report. Why is that important? How many of us? And I want an honest answer. How many of us go through discounts every single day and cross it off? Great job, Bobby. I am so disappointed. I just had the corner of my eye. You might have been raising your hand here watching. Missed break reports. Why is that important? You can coach, teach those. If you've got one person, one employee that consistently shows up on that missed break report, that's a great time to be able to sit down and say, hey, Susie, what's going on? Why can't you get that break? Don't change the time without them knowing it.
Yep.
But that's a coaching moment. That could be an EPR moment. That's a great time to be able to sit down with that employee and do it day part sales by day part destination. Why would that important be?
I will tell you the sales, the
Schedule tells you where you're at.
The 4 shifts, like
Exactly.
breakfast, lunch.
So you don't want 4 servers on day shift when your busiest hour or your busiest day part is dinner, right? And you've only got 2 on. And we know that happens, right?
Oh, I'm sorry, I have a question on Ms. Break. My employees take breaks, and I know they share information, but then they still show us more break hours.
It's because they start early, or they have to, or every 6 hours.
Okay, so the missed break reports, Dime tells you that you missed a break if you work 6.01 hours in a row. For every consecutive 6 hours, you need to take a break somewhere in that period. 6.01 hours is a missed break. So
Or clocking back in early.
Or if they're clocking back in early, but the Dime system will not allow that person to clock in early without a manager authorization.
And don't forget, you guys, that it's from midnight to midnight.
Yes.
It's not 7 a.m. to 7 a.m.
Yep.
Which is where a lot of us were making the mistakes at the very
So
beginning.
if the swing shift goes into past midnight and didn't take a break, it will count on the next day.
Yeah, absolutely. Or you see that a lot on your overnight server that comes in 11 o'clock and won't break out until, say, 6 o'clock.
And they've got to be on the clock for at least 2 hours before they take their break, right? If it's before 2 hours, because we get into that.
You just cannot let them pass 6 hours, that's all. Because
6
you
hours.
can.
Make sure that they're clocking out in that 6-hour period.
But Kelly, who trained me, she said that if they come in, we clock in, and we try to have them take a break before they're clocked in for their first 2 hours, it will show up as a missed break.
No.
I have never seen that.
If they're on an 8-hour shift, yes,
No.
because when they come back, they would have more than 6 hours.
Yes, if they spend more than 6 hours after they come back from break, yes, that's what it is.
Again, guys, make sure that your employees, make sure that your employees are getting that break in within that 6-hour period. If they're working a noon to 6, make sure that they're getting that break in. It's in that 6-hour period.
You know, breaks is help you with your labor too, because you can send people on break on an hour that they're being clocked in, but then you're gonna send them home 4 hours after because you know it's slow or whatever.
And a missed break, what did it cost us for a company in 2017? $1.6 million. Okay, you want to do your service scorecard?
Yes.
Why would you print out your service scorecard? Absolutely. And how many copies of that service scorecard do you want to print out?
2.
One for your file, one for your wall.
I agree, I put one up front, one on the school.
So every server in our restaurants goes to that Restaurant Success Center every single day.
No, but we do alley rallies.
We do alley rallies. Where else could you hang one?
Under swinging doors.
On your swinging door. Where else? Where does?
Oh my gosh, are
Hey
you
guys, where else does every server in your restaurant go?
The expo station.
Expo station. I have my managers do that now. Even though you're printing up your silver scorecard, celebrate the good, coach the bad. Never just hang a server scorecard up without making a comment on there. Great job, Susie. You're at 150% bad score today. Great job. Keep it up. You also want your speed of service performance date for your day part. Again, for your scheduling. And for those of you that have server tip credit, you want to make sure that you get your minimum wage exception report.
Rick, 20?
Okay. Help desk. There's 3 different ways of getting a hold of the help desk, and that's going on to one login and creating a ticket through the service portal. You can call the help desk, and you can send them an email. Now, the way to think about this is, would you call a fire department if your cat was stuck up in a tree?
Some people will.
Would you call the fire department if your house is on fire?
Yes.
Okay, so the only time that you're going to call the help desk is if your POA system or your back office system goes out. The service ticket and the help desk are for things that we maybe have misentered, or we need adjustment on a cashed out ticket or whatever. We're going to send them an email. But remember, always copy your DL in that, because most everything that you're asking for a change needs a DL approval. It also goes to Marty Caps. It also goes to Mike Myers and Forrest King.
So this right here that you can, like for the, like for instance, the kids menu that has the wrong price, that's what we're asking.
You go to the service portal. Yes, and they will change the price for you. All right, Exformity. This is the part that you guys want, and we don't spend nearly enough time because we keep talking about Dime, we keep talking about everything else, and we lose time on Exformity. So Exformity, we're going to take a look at the dashboard. We're going to look at the icons on each one. We're actually going to go in and do a live demo for you. We're going to look at some reports. We're going to look at the report guides. You can pull your labor reports off Exformity. We're not going to have time to build a report, but in your books that we're handing out, you will have step-by-step instructions on how to build a special report. Now remember, even though every restaurant has Exformity, Exformity is used mainly as a tool for multi-unit managers and above. Because then we can look at and analyze reports that, because we don't have a Dine office computer in the back to print up a report. What we use at the restaurant level is to look at trends. We are moving towards the white sheet and going to closing out on the Exformity. So that's really what you guys are going to be using Exformity for, is to look at past and trends in order to help you more efficiently run your operation and not spend time in the back in your office instead of being out on the floor like we need to be. So when you open up your open up your Exformity, this is what the dashboard looks like. In the first category, we've got comps. These are going to be comps over last year. Same day last year, same week last year, same period last year, same year last year, or year to date. In the second category, we're looking at sales. Now this is just a sales number. The sales number, what you did yesterday, for the week, for the period, for year to date. It also puts in total guest counts. Just so you know where you're at and how many guests you served that previous day. Then it breaks down your discounts. Now this doesn't break down the discounts like we do. It breaks it down into the major categories. So you'll have to do a little bit of drill down if you're looking at the discounts off your Exformity. You also have your day part sales up in the upper right-hand corner, followed by labor. This is kind of a one-stop shop, isn't it?
Yeah. You can pretty much make that down and
Absolutely. You can sit down, you can pull up your exformity as soon as you hit end of day, and everything's right there, and you don't have to look at your DSR, you don't have to look at your service site, you don't have to look at 5 or 6 different reports. It's all right here on your dashboard. Then it looks, the next, on the bottom part is your cash accountability. So you got your cash over and short. You want to know if you're being stolen from, or maybe somebody doesn't know how to count change back. Again, cash shortages goes against your CP. The less cash shortages, the better your CP is. Then it comes into your mix. And again, one-stop shop. Now you're looking at, now you know where your data is for yesterday. You know where your data is for the week, for the period to date, and for year to date. So you know where to make those adjustments just by looking at your dashboard. The bottom part, and this, Sean Fox did a really great job driving us to make sure that we're getting these ingredients in. So the first part is ingredients. This is your food cost, your McLean's, your produce, anything that is edible. The second part is non-ingredient. Anything that's not edible goes into your non-ingredient. And then you can track your repair and maintenance. Now, we don't require managers to work 7 days a week, do we?
No.
So if McLean's order comes in on Tuesday, or on Monday, and you've got Tuesday off, how do you check to see to make sure that that McLean's order was in? Got put in correctly.
All the DSR.
They should always be in every day. You're putting in invoices.
Yeah.
So they should be in. How can you double check to make sure that that number is in?
And you pull that.
You just look at your exformity dashboard. It's right there. Then you can make the adjustments. Now we do have different functions on your dashboard. So up in the upper right-hand corner or left-hand corner, you see that arrow. That's going to hide all your report groups. You've got a report that is 15 columns long. You're looking at your closeout. You can actually hide your report groups to look to see more of that report. This could be a lifesaver, your settings button. This will be where you go to restore reports that you deleted off your reports. Down in the bottom left-hand corner, you see you've got the report list. You'll go to that file to pull up any sort of reports that you're looking at. You've got a date range. Again, we're talking about trends. And trends is really what we're focusing on with exformity. So you can do a data range. Your hierarchy reports, how many restaurants are in your restaurant area? 1 on your exformity. 1. So that, again, is the multi-unit manager function. You've got a star button down there. If you look at a report every single day, you can't not look at that report every day, but you don't want to find it, because I tell you, once you get into those reports, there are millions of reports. Okay, they're not millions, but there's a lot of reports in there. You don't want to keep going through every report to find the report that you look at every day. Star it, thumbs up it, put it in your favorite button. This is my most favorite function on the whole exformity. This is your data visualization. It gives you graphs. You can see trends when you go in to look at these reports. You've got the open reports button. So if you got 5 reports open and you have to go back to your home page because you want to just take a look at something on your home page, you need to go back to your reports, just hit your open reports page and they're all right there. And then everybody has a home, right? There's your home button. You can always go home and it brings you back to the home page. Now, as we were talking about a little bit earlier, there are so many reports on there. We want to clean up our reports so we're not having to go through every single report to find that one report. You can go by, once you open it up, you see the thumbs down button. Just click the thumbs down button. That report disappears from your report page. It's gone forever. You'll never see it again. If you want to put a button in, if you want to put a report in your favorite button, It's the thumbs up button, and it puts it into that star button down there. Now, oops. We deleted the QK KPI report that everyone wants. It's gone forever. How would we bring that back?
Restore it.
How do you restore it?
It's the button.
Okay, so you go to your little gear at the top of the page. Down at the bottom of the report that you're going to see, you'll see report restoration. You'll select QK daily KPIs. You click that button, it automatically reappears in My Reports. You cannot lose a report. What does KPI stand for? Key Performance Indicator. Why is that important to know what a Key Performance Indicator is? Come on, guys, we got drums next, so let's get excited. Holy cow, you put me to sleep. What's a KPI?
That's our alert we get our percentage of
That's our
current, but our sales.
Absolutely, it tells you where you're performing as a restaurant. You know where to find, you know where to coach, you know where to teach. It will teach you, it'll point you in the right direction. What about GPH? What does GPH stand for? Gas per hour. What is the formula for gas per hour?
This is different.
Okay, it is. The basic formula is total number of man hours divided into the gas for the same period of time. You can figure GPH by hour, by shift, by day, by week, by year. Why is it important to know what your GPH is?
Your scheduling
Productivity. We've got 97 restaurants in this little franchise called QK Restaurants. Every single community has a different wage. Is it fair that my guys up in Montana or Dina Sobs, where we've got a higher minimum wage, have to run that labor percentage? We're looking at GPH now. We're looking at the productivity of our employees. So if you're looking at the end of the week and your GPH is at 2.5, what does that tell you? You've got a perfect restaurant because everybody cleaned your restaurant, right? And your labor percent's all the way up here. What happens if you, at the end of the week, have a 5 GPH? That tells me that you guys are waiting tables and cooking. You don't have enough staff. This is your daily KPI report. This report will be found in My Reports. This is a cool report because it just tells you what your key performance is, where your restaurant is standing. Now, the nice thing about this report is that there's drill downs. So any number up here that is in blue, if you click that button, the corresponding report where that number came from shows up. So if you go over to your cash over short, it's going to give you your cash control detail report. If you're looking at your GCA, it's going to bring up your battle report. So it'll tell you where all those numbers come from in different reports, so you don't have to go through and look up each and every report. CSI's next door.
CSI Las Vegas.
All right, so let's take a look at Xformity in a live demo. And again, we're not going to have much time to go through a lot of these reports, but I'm going to show you a couple of my favorite reports. So again, this is your home page for your Xformity. Again, if you have a long column here, you can go ahead and hit that button. It hides the reports. You bring it back and all the reports are there. It helps you visualize reports, especially if you're looking at a closeout report. In a report that the company makes up or you make up will go under My Reports. So a quick, easy way to find it will be in My Reports. If you notice, you go back down to your folder and it brings up all the reports again. You got your date range, and you can, on any date range that you can do, say you want the 15th of February down to current day of yesterday, and you can look at the date range. If you notice and it's hard to see this, I know, but since I clicked that date range, all these numbers have changed to reflect that date range. So you can do it that way. If you want to look at yesterday's or the day before's numbers, just click the -1, and you see your date range go back, and you can do the same thing by going forward. Or you can always go back to your current. Your star button, that's your favorite button. That's any report that you thumbs up to that you look at every single day. Okay, so your visualization, this is my favorite icon on all of Xformity. It's got a fully different set of reports that you can take a look at. One report that you want to look at, and again, we're talking about trends and when to hire your staff, when not to hire your staff, when to maybe order more food, bring your food costs a little bit up because you're going to be busy. So if you come down to net sales, and again, there's a ton of reports. You look at net sales. Take a look at this report here. This is a trend, and you're just kind of really looking at it. It's a visualization, it's a graph. Who doesn't like graphs? The yellow means it's current, the blue is last year, and it's the prior 13 weeks, or it could be prior 13 months. The other reports, and there's so many reports, get in there and dig to find out which reports you want to look at on a daily basis or when you sit down to do your schedules. If you look at your configurable reporting, this is where you're going to make your own reports. However, you've got a year by measure. This is year over year, so these numbers tell you what you did over last year. And it's just not this report. If you use your drop-down arrow, look at all the reports that you can take a look at. So the daily report is a report that I made up for my district. It's kind of like their DSR. And this is given what we did this year compared to what we did last year during the same period of time. Again, very important to look at trends by looking year over year. Is there any report that you guys would like to take a look at? Speed of service. Speed of service reports.
5 max.
Thank you. So your speed of service reports, wide day part table turns, KVS front, KVS back, day part performance, and your ticket time detail. This is the one that we really want to look at, and this is the cool part about this report, guys, is that standard is 38 minutes from start to finish. By the time that your server puts it into your POS, to the time that they cash out should be 38 minutes. If you notice, if it's in green, you've exceeded that 38 minutes. If it's in yellow, oh my God, we need some work there, right? Good to look at when you're scheduling and making sure that you've got enough people on the floor and during the day parts. Look at the yellows. We don't want to see yellows. Any questions on Xformity? I know it was quick, but again, you can call any one of us if you've got questions. We can help you build reports. And to tell you the honest truth, I would go back to my restaurants and build a weekly closeout report. What is that? That's your white sheet, right? Closeout sheet. Before Xformity, how long did it take you to fill one of those out? Hours? 45 minutes. 45 minutes that you could be out on the floor talking to your guest, right? And it takes you 45 minutes. That you could be out on the floor taking care of your guest, right? All right. These are all of the reports in Xformity that you need in order to fill out that closeout sheet. Wouldn't it be easier to click one button and your closeout sheet is completely done and you spend that extra 45 minutes coaching, teaching, talking to guests?
Yes.
Guess what?
It's happening.
It's happening. We are trying by Q2 to get away from the white sheets. In one click is to get you guys back out on the floor.
It's our fault, so they're not seeing it correctly.
Well, then put in the correct numbers.
That's what
And again, just make sure that we're getting those invoices in and you're getting those manager wages in, your utilities in. Because again, we want to get you out of that small little office, which is about this big, and out in that dining room, talking to your guests, driving those sales. I know that these guys next door are really trying to drive sales. You can't drive sales out of the office. Marvin even said they put a cash register in the office and it didn't make any money. You make a mistake. You put in $500,000 instead of $5,000 for food costs. How do you fix that? Call the fire department, right? Easiest way of doing it. You can. Remember, all numbers from Xformity comes from Dine. If something happens at Dine, where do you go? You go to the help desk. So 2 ways of fixing that number. Go on to your service portal or send an email to Denny's help desk or helpdesk@dennys.com. Copy your DL in it because he's going to get or she's going to get that. Is this correct? Is this approved? I beat Mike to an approval yesterday.
No way.
All right, we got a short video that everybody. This is from our keynote speaker from tonight, right?
Yep. Correct. Yes. Well, he'll be here tonight, but
Good to see you again. I get the distinct privilege of working with you tonight to talk about recognition in the workplace, but of course at the end of each one of these workshops, I get the other privilege of being able to offer you a tool or an application based on all the great stuff you gained in the session. Certainly you covered a lot of things in this one about reducing guest wait time, understanding financials better, making sure you're using that app efficiently. All those kinds of things will help drive results, but you're already juggling so many different things that it may be difficult for you to see how you might do that. And so my tool or application for you is a little different for this session. In fact, it says finding your fuel for the drive for results. And you see 3 rings on this card. My suggestion to you is that you might want to start managing your work and life like it's a circus. And yeah, you're the ringmaster and you've got to make things happen. More importantly, you have 3 rings that you are in each day. One of them is a work ring. Of course, that's while you're at work, but it might be while you're thinking about work. It's all the skills and talents and abilities that you bring to your job. The second ring that you're in is a self ring. That's your health, your hobbies, your spirituality, your interests, those things that make up who you are. Not what you do, but who you are. And then finally, you see you've got relationships. And of course, that could be your spouse, partner, significant other. It could be extended family members. It could be your pets. But it's people you have relationships in your life. If you think about it, each one of these rings either gives us physical, mental, and emotional fuel, or it takes it away whenever we're in that ring of our circus, if you will. So my application for you is as you're driving for better results, you feel that heaviness. It can feel like an elephant, if you will, if it's pressing down on you. You're like, how am I going to get to it? Everything else I have going on is to stop and ask yourself the first question, what's the biggest elephant for me right now? And for some of you, it might be something related to work. A skill you're not as efficient in, or something you're not comfortable doing. So maybe it is work related. But it might also be self-ring related. You may not be getting enough sleep. You may not be taking good enough care of yourself. And so maybe that's your element right now, that you need to provide yourself with better self-care. And then for some of you, maybe it's a relationship that's a drain on you right now. This could be a family member, or it could be one of your associates or team members at work that you really need to have a tough conversation with, but you're not, and it just puts such a mental and emotional elephant on you that you can't be your best and do all these other things that will really help you drive the results. The second question says, what's an action you can take to address it? As I said before, if it's work-related, maybe it's a conversation with the district manager, someone to help you to grow in that skill. Maybe it's just some time you need to take to learn how to do something better. If it's self-ring related, then maybe you need to plan some time for yourself. Maybe take a little time off to renew your mental and emotional, and yes, even physical energy. And maybe you just need to learn how to get better night's sleep. And then finally, if it's relationship oriented, what are those relationships in your life that are fulfilling to you? Are you spending enough time with those people? Or maybe you've got too many, one person called drainers in your life, and you need to spend less time with some of them and more time with those people that pour into you mentally and emotionally. And then finally, the key says, or the application says, what fuel is available if that elephant is gone? What does it make possible if you were to address that tough situation or that pressure that you're feeling? How would that help clear you physically, mentally, and emotionally to really be able to focus on the results that you really want from your restaurant? That's the application tool from this workshop as you seek to drive the results.
All right. So this gentleman, I guess you'll get to meet tonight, and then tomorrow you'll meet your keynote speaker. So we're almost near the end. Is everybody ready for that? It's been a long day, but a fun day, right? We've gone with a lot of knowledge, not just from this class, but from your other two classes. Me personally, I would like you guys to give a big round of applause to the presenters. Both groups, because I can tell you it's been a long 3 months trying to get the right fit in the right amount of time for everybody, and I think that we all did a phenomenal job, especially for our first year. Some of your takeaways today are, why were you hired? Everybody together, why were you hired? Absolutely. How do we add 20% in 5 years? Building sales through GCA, guest counts, getting more seats, people in the seats, getting the people in, getting them out, but with the best service, right? We want those Yax reviews to be, or 4.2s, as high as we can get them. Another way that we're going to do 20% in 5 years is not adding the sales, but it's putting it to the bottom line. So we talked about, what did we talk about? Flow through. We talked about the money that we're leaving on the table was through labor, right? No breaks,
and unseen
overtime, tip shortfall. Those 3 categories alone, we left over $3 million on the table for 2018. I don't know about you guys, but I would love to have $3 million in my bank account. I'll take half of that. Okay? Can you imagine what Doug could do? Doug gets to do with another $3 million. Think about the remodels that haven't happened yet. Well, take us to Hawaii. I'm all for it.
Let's go for it.
So, and the thing is you have a very dedicated, loyal owner. So I've known Doug personally myself for over 24 years. Dina, very long time. He's very loyal to us. He always has been. Therefore, we do right by him, he does right by us. He always has fought for us, even when there was a standard that Denny's corporate put out that he didn't maybe disagree, he didn't agree with, maybe not disagree, but he fought for a little bit. He might have lost, but we won because we didn't have to do it right away. So, how will what you learned today impact the people and services at your restaurant? What you learned in here today?
How's much? Improve what we're doing now.
Right. So we gave you a lot of tools, and I understand it's a lot of information, so don't forget that this whole presentation is going to be where? Exactly. So you're going to take this information back, I would personally, myself, I would make your unit managers sit down, right? This is going to help you work more efficiently, right? All right. I'm trying to get you guys energized. We got music going on. It's the end of the day. We got 3 tickets left. Okay, we're just going to, a few things. We're not going to go over these. I'm just going to go through them really, really quick. The resource library is where? Okay, so pocket operation guides, all the stuff that you need, some of the stuff you got today, this is where you would go for. Okay, conformity, how to build reports. Speed metrics defined. Table terms. Kitchen printers, for those of you who don't know how to proficiently use your kitchen printers. Covered polls. Label printer and tablet. Do you love your things? Yes. Did you guys know you could do your hourly performance reports now on your tablets? So if you don't know, go here, follow the directions. Guest service cycle audits, internet, we've gone over internet, wait list. Okay, it gives you instructions on how to do the wait list, and they have to email Alka at Web Solutions to get it activated, right, Rick?
Yes.
All right. Best practices of the wait list. Analytics of the wait list. All right. So this I'm going to give to Rick because this is his favorite part of the webinar. You guys enjoy your evening, and it was our pleasure to meet all of you. Okay.
We're in Las Vegas, Nevada. Sin City. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right? No! We don't want no! Oh, Lord, no. What happens in Vegas does not stay in Vegas. You guys spent 6 hours, and we really applaud you guys for sitting. We know that GMs don't sit for 6 hours straight. We applaud you guys for doing this. You don't see us stand up in front of all you guys for 6 hours doing this. So you guys are fantastic. But remember, you had 3 really great workshops. You heard what Doug, Dennis, and Marvin said today. There were some awards given out this afternoon or this morning. We all won an award. The stuff that you learned today, take back to your restaurants. Don't keep this a secret. Make sure that your staff, your RPs, your restaurant managers, your MITs learn everything that you guys learned today. I don't care if you're walking out of this room learning one thing. That's a win for us. We want you to take that back and expand on it. And with all the other workshops. Take it back. And now it's not time for a break. It's time to go listen to what they're doing over there.
Don't forget that the timing for the reception stuff is still starting at 6:30. So you have an hour instead of the half hour from original.